Hello everyone, I am Jiawei, a PhD student at Georgia Tech. I will be presenting our paper titled Synthetic Lies: Understanding AI-Generated Misinformation and Evaluating Algorithmic and Human Solutions. This work is done in collaborations with Yixuan Zhang, Qianni, Andrea Parker, and my advisor Munmun Choudhury. Please note that in this talk, we will include some misinformation examples that can be disturbing, offensive, violent, or emotionally triggering. This work is situated in the growing interest surrounding large language models, or LLMs. Since the launch of GPT, LLMs are becoming more and more accessible to the general public. As early as 2021, OpenAI launched the Playground, a user interface that allows people without any programming knowledge to utilize such models, and this is the output of a misinformation prompt about how vaccine can cause cancer. We can see the output point out researcher name and affiliation, explain data source and size, acknowledge the limitation, and finally, give a relatively conservative conclusion. Misinformation is not a new issue in society. However, what's new here is a generative AI's ability to easily and quickly generate persuasive misinformation at a scale we have never seen before. To understand the potential risk, we ask 3 questions. First, what are the characteristics of AI-generated misinformation compared with human-created misinformation? Second, how do existing misinformation detection models perform on AI misinformation? Third, how do existing guidelines for spotting misinformation work on AI generations? To answer these questions, our study contains 3 parts. First, we compiled and curated an AI misinformation dataset that was comparable to human creations. With that dataset, we then studied the characteristics of AI misinformation by looking at semantic-focused linguistic differences and content-focused expression patterns. Lastly, we evaluated existing misinformation solutions, specifically detection models and assessment guidelines. In curating an AI misinformation dataset comparable with human creations, we first collected human-created misinformation that was manually annotated to be untrue. Then we find the most representative documents in each topic cluster and conducted a manually coding guided by narrative theory to abstract representative documents into what we call narrative prompts. The prompts capture the core story, information type, purpose, and evidence. Last, we use a state-of-the-art LLM GPT-3 to generate AI misinformation in types of news and social media posts. We first look into linguistic differences using a lexicon look. Generally speaking, AI misinformation had different communication style than human creations. We also find AI misinformation presented stronger emotions than human creations, especially in social media posts, which could work as a bait to catch readers' attention. It also contains more cognitive processing-related expressions that can help achieve better reasoning and persuasiveness. Then, we conducted a qualitative analysis and summarized expression patterns. The first one is enhancement of details by specifying who, what, when, where, why, and how. In this example, AI misinformation enhances how by telling a vivid story with details. It explains exactly how the officer was beaten up while lying helplessly on the ground. As the AI misinformation is more active in communicating uncertainty and limitation. Examples include, it is yet not known what sparked the attack, the man who has not been identified, and more research is needed to confirm the findings. This can be concerning, as previous study has shown that admitting uncertainty is important in risk communication to establish credibility. The third pattern is a tendency of drawing conclusions. This can be done by summarizing key points, linking individual events to broader phenomena, and calling for future actions. Now we know how high-quality AI misinformation can be. We want to test if existing models still be applicable. We look at the triple AI shared task challenge of detecting Kelvin misinformation and use the CityBird model from the winning team. We tested 1,000 paired AI and human misinformation. We find that detection model maintained high predictability, but a chi-square test shows a significant performance drop compared to human creations. Then we evaluated the applicability of information assessment guidelines developed by journalists and researchers. The three main categories are sources, evidence, and alternatives. We conducted a detective coding on 120 pairs of human and AI misinformation. We find AI misinformation is more likely to establish the credibility of sources. Common ways are pointing out researchers and institutions, naming publication venues, and explaining related expertise and reputation. AI misinformation also used more testimonial and statistical evidence, and is more likely to be assertive using phrases such as "you must" and "authorities are sure to do this." It is also more likely to acknowledge other alternatives, such as possible solutions or standpoints. With the rapid growth of generative AI, the concern of AI misinformation is no longer for the distant future. We have begun to see discussions surrounding how ChatGPT and Galactica produce false statements with fake citations and a highly confident tone. For example, people have used both products to successfully prove the benefits of eating crushed glass. Currently, companies that build these language models do acknowledge that generated text can be incorrect, inaccurate, and wrong. However, these limitation statements can work as an excuse to pass the information assessment burden down to end users. They also create an illusion of users giving their consent to all AI capabilities and limitations. Then the question becomes, what can we do? First, there is a need for better moderation strategies and risk-informing approaches. There are many ways to achieve risk communication, for example, more comprehensive user onboarding, real-time risk reminders, additional information and resources, prohibiting high-risk content, or direct corrections in the outputs. Among all the possible approaches, what we don't know yet is when to choose what approach and how to evaluate the effectiveness. In addition, large language model is not a standalone system. Information produced by it will find its way into other places, such as social media platforms and even search engines. High-volume AI content could flood platforms and edge out real users. This is particularly concerning for platforms that prioritize information quality. Therefore, online platform interventions need to study ways to carefully flag AI-generated content. Existing interventions should also improve to cope with new challenges created by AI misinformation. Current detection models can be further utilized in combination with synthetic data to evolve with generative abilities. Educational guidelines should adapt to AI capabilities and literacy. With that, I would like to conclude my talk and encourage you to read the paper for more details. Thank you for listening.